She's here already. She's sitting down. I saw her. She's somewhere.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to call this meeting of the Providence School Board to order. That everyone who's able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
George Matuk,
Present.
Moyedin Ibiemi,
Present.
Erlen Rojo,
Here.
Travis Escobar,
Here.
Tyrell Stevens.
Present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Superintendent's comments. Superintendent?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I want to welcome you all back to a new school year, so that's a big round of applause for everyone that's here. I would like to share that we have achieved a milestone. We opened not one, but 3 new or light new schools for the first time in decades since we opened up PCTA. These schools were William Bay Elementary, Frankie Spaziano Elementary, and also the Naducci Learning Center. I'd like to express my gratitude to you, our school board members, along with Governor McKee, Commissioner Fonte Green, and Mayor Smiley for their instrumental support in joining us on the first day of school tours. So I want to say thank you for that as well. Just 2 weeks ago, I had the privilege of cutting the ribbons at the Naducci Learning Center, which is now serving as a swing space for Pleasant View Elementary during their renovation. It doesn't stop at those 3. We're going to continue to do this. This achievement was done possible without the dedication partners. So I want to say thank you for making that happen to each and every one of our partners. A special thank you to the building committee and operations team that continue to work hard to bring 21st century learning environments to our students. Our commitment to providing quality education continues to grow stronger every day, and I will continue to work together with administrators, building leaders, and teachers to meet the goals of our turnaround action plan. It takes a village, truly takes a village to achieve these goals, and it shouldn't go without notice that everyone takes a part in our success. Our new schools are equipped with modern facilities, technologies to enhance the learning experience, and we will continue to work with you to tell you the truth about the state of our schools and to make sure that we continue to be transparent and open about the plans to serve our students of Providence and invest in our district. I want to acknowledge the hard work of our teachers, staff, and administrators in preparing for the first day of school for this school year. It is also a challenge, and we are proud of the work they have done and continue to do. Parental involvement and community support is vital to our students' success. I want to encourage active participations. Your help is essential to ensure that your child has a great year. So we need everyone participating for our students so they can be successful. We had a strong start, and I'm looking forward to a successful academic year. So please remember, attendance is crucial for academic success, and we want our students to become attendance heroes. In order to ensure that we can start an academic year off strong, PPSD has launched an attendance hero campaign to help focus attendance policies and school year and the school year encourage attendance every day to be in school for our students. In order to assist with that, PPSD Central Office have provided the schools with attendance heroes pledges, encouraging families to ensure students are present every day, attending calendars, magnets, and dry erasers so that students can track their attendance throughout the year. We encourage parents to take time to do this with their children so they can understand the importance of attendance and the consequence of being chronically absent. I'm asking parents to stay focused and informed about upcoming events, parent-teacher meetings, and the important dates of the school year by checking our website, and to keep an eye open for emails and texts from the school and the district as well. I would also like to take the opportunity to address an incident that happened at KP yesterday. I would also like to address that what happened at the KP Kennedy Plaza downtown, where high school students, where they transfer from bus to with the buses and they transfer to their new location. Young people, both from Providence public schools and other area schools, were involved in a serious altercation. Providence police responded quickly to the scene, detaining several individuals, including juveniles and adults, and encouraged students to disperse as quickly as possible. PPSD administration was also promptly reported to the scene to offer some support. The safety and well-being of our students is our utmost priority, and I want to emphasize that violence is absolutely unacceptable. I urge you to remind students that they should not engage in aggressive or violent behavior, no matter if in school or in public places such as Kennedy Plaza. My team and I are working in collaborations with Providence Police as well with the city to set up a system to support students at the plaza and on their journey home. Also, would like to address a problem that we had with registration. We are aware that there were many complaints about the lengthy time of registering a student for the school year. PPSD is doing all it can to assist parents register their children during the beginning weeks of the school, which is at its highest volume during this time period. Some of the delays may have been attributed to some new open spots for pre-K slots that have opened up and or student package not being completed for many reasons. The members of registrations and our team, they must screen all requirements, which include immunization shots and history. Also residency proof and the home language survey, as well as pre-K assessment. Applications are processed in the order they will receive. I want to say thank you to our FACE team. They also stepped up and they led 3 individuals each day to make sure that they supported the customers and the parents as they came in as customer service. And our operations team, who were working with registration to solve any issue and streamline the process. With that, I want to say thank you and welcome back.
Thank you, Superintendent. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Are there any modifications to the agenda before it is approved? Or do I have a motion to approve it as presented? I have a motion. Do I have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? The agenda has been approved. Next item on the agenda is consent agenda. Oh, I lied. It's approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Motion made. Do I have a second? All in favor? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, PPSD Recognition Awards. And I just want to take a quick second to welcome all the families who are here tonight to celebrate their youth who are being recognized tonight. So bienvenidos a todos los miembros, las familias de la comunidad que estamos celebrando a sus hijos y hijas que han cumplido este programa. Superintendent, I don't know if you want to take it from here. What is the recognition for?
We're going to give the honor to Dr. Onye. Dr. Onye, please come up.
Dr. Onye, please come up to the front.
Dr. Onye and her awesome team.
Love to see it. The floor is yours, Dr. Arnold.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Testing. Can you hear me? Testing.
Yes.
Excellent. So first of all, the honor is amazing. I'm really excited about the fact that our request to highlight and to really appreciate the students and adults here today, that you actually accepted the request and that you were able to get these citations for us in a very short amount of time. So I just want to say thank you to our superintendent and our school board for doing such a great job. The certificates are beautiful and well-deserved. When I took this role back, seems like 50 years ago, but it was just last year, in July, I promised that although we were prioritizing certain things, because the office had been paused for so long, it was really important for us to really go full throttle and just hit the ground running. And we have focused primarily on really engaging our major stakeholders. We wanted to definitely focus on our community, getting our community partners here in the city back on board, and really get to really trust our office as a place where we could collaborate and develop some strong partnerships. And I'm excited about the fact that we now have an Equity Advisory Council. It's got 47 members. If you look online, it's a wide array of folks on that advisory board, including members of our PTU leadership, many parents, students, community members, really invested folks who really want to see a change and be part of the change here in Providence. We also wanted to make sure we focused on our teachers, because they're the first line of defense with our students. They're the people that see our kids every day, and they're the ones that make the biggest difference for our students on a daily basis. And so we started and developed some professional developments and unique cohorts that many of our teachers have participated in. We're really excited about that. We also wanted to focus on our school leaders, because we know that without strong leadership in our schools, it makes it very difficult to get anything done, particularly make the kind of change we need to make. And so we began to invest in equity-focused leadership. We were able to get Dr. Mark Gooden, who is a professor at Columbia University and an author, one of the authors of this text, 5 Practices of Equity-Focused Leadership. Now, those practices are prioritizing equity, preparing for equity. The third one is developing equity leadership teams. And the last one is sustaining equity. And so what we did first is we put our APs and our principals through a full year of training with Dr. Gooden. We wanted to have him as the facilitator. Cost a little bit of money, but you guys are very gracious and approved our contract. And he's really a dynamic leader and also a dynamic facilitator. We wanted to make sure that we were able to provide principals with some capacity, because you can't do this work alone. I've been a principal superintendent, you cannot do this work alone. And so we wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to develop those equity leadership teams, that third practice in the text. And we put a call out for teachers and staff and schools to sign up to be trained as equity team ambassadors. This year, these individuals will only train. They'll be learning with Dr. Gooden himself. And we started in the summer with 2 full days of training in August, which is pretty hard. People actually kind of changed their schedules around, shortened their vacations to be part of this cohort. This is the first of its kind, probably in the state. I don't mean to brag, but it's true. Definitely the first in this district to have this type of a team and this type of instruction for our people who are on the front line. So today you will be giving citations out to 21 of these amazing individuals who are being really brave and courageous. This is really hard, messy work. It's not black and white. It requires a lot of deep thinking, lots of conversation, collaboration, sometimes disagreement. But to do this work, you've got to be ready for what we call the battle, right? So you need that kind of foundation, skills, and training. So that's what these individuals will be doing this year, getting ready for next year to start their equity leadership teams in their respective schools. And then I save the best for last. Oftentimes as adults, we like to talk about redesign, transformation, you name it, and we don't meet with kids. We don't ask them what they think, we don't involve them in the conversation. So last year, we started Respect, raising expectations for student perspectives, experiences, consciousness, and traditions.
Yeah.
And so we asked schools to send us 4 students to each of their schools, student leaders. We weren't looking for A students or, students with perfect attendance or perfect anything, because there's no such thing, right? We just wanted students who wanted to learn and lead, who had a passion for changing their school, who had a passion for changing their community, and who wanted the space to be able to talk about it and figure out how to make it happen. And so we started last November with our first conference at the Marriott. It was fabulous. The students were amazing. We had like almost 70 students in the room. They came back again in February, and they all came back again in May. We didn't lose anyone. We actually gained some folks. And that was so successful, but it wasn't enough because we only met 3 times, and we tried to support folks at the school level. There's only 4 people in my department, so we decided to run a leadership academy, an equity leadership academy just for students for 9 days. Brown University was gracious enough to give us space for free. And they also fed the students breakfast and a beautiful lunch every day in the school cafeteria, which was fabulous. And those students came for 9 days. They showed up. They took the bus, they Ubered, they walked, and it was hard. The training and the discussion in these sessions for 9 days, full days, right? So we're talking about 8 o'clock until 2:30 every day for 9 days in the heat in August. They came. And the only time that they missed was if there was some serious family emergency or something that got in the way, but most students were there every day. We also introduced for the first time an elementary school, Leviton. Martin Quirk, who is here, is the AP at Leviton, and he runs a gentleman's academy. And these young people are phenomenal, and we wanted to at least pilot an elementary school as part of Respect. And so he sent us 4 angels who were unbelievable. People could not believe they were rising 5th graders. They have so much to say. And it was just a fabulous 9 days. It was a lot of labor. It was really intense. And at the end, the students, many of them presented the work that they're going to be doing this year. And they were also rewarded. When you work, then you get paid. And we were able to give them a small stipend to show our appreciation and a certificate. But we wanted to do more. We felt that this work is groundbreaking, and this is the work that we don't hear about in the media. We don't see it in the paper.
Yes.
So we thought we should give ourselves flowers today. And so once again, I want to say thank you for these certificates and citations. Many of the students are here, many of the adults are here, and we're ready to start calling the names and having them come up whenever you're ready.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Scott. I'm so sorry.
She's gonna call the names.
My skinny side.
Amazing.
Brian Colton. Catherine Anderson. I should have known that we're calling our teacher. Deborah Muther. Erica Harrington. I apologize for any mispronunciation. Holly Bouvier. Ivana Morales. It's a long walk. Jerica McKee.
Congratulations.
Jessica Ordóñez Barrera. Lindsay Paiva. Matthew Barney. Morgan Lewis. Nicolita Jimenez. Peter Breen. Rachel Greenberg.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Rachel Ray. Renee Dupont. Teresa Holman.
Congratulations.
Those are all of our teachers. Thank you so much. If you're here and we didn't recognize you, please come up. So sorry, I want to make sure I had a call. Okay, great.
Can we ask everyone to come up so we can grab a quick group picture? All the
Group
teachers?
picture, and I'll get
Sorry.
ready for the students. You're next.
There you go.
I'm like,
Thank you all.
It's all right. All of
Yeah, I don't know that.
All right.
okay. And we can't see who all of you, if you're all here, so we're just gonna call them all. Aaliyah Rivera. Andalia Johnson. Ayana Escoto.
Congratulations.
Cheyenne Tao. Danya Johnson Nicholson. Daniel Free Rojas Peña. Elena J. Jimenez. Faith Swick. Pedro Bello. Dailise Medina. Jaslyn Ivan Rivera. Jennifer
All
Umama.
right, model.
Jonas Alejandro Garcia Menorca.
Congratulations.
Junior Ventura Duran. Katie Manuela Cas Alonso. Leilani Silva. Nairi Simon Laforte. Ray John McKay. Samuel, I know you're here and I'm so sorry. Can you say your last name for me? Thank you.
This is our next anesthesiologist right here.
Subril Contreras. Terrell Osborne. Charis Cifuentes. Joanasis Brito. Anybody that we missed?
Yes, one person.
Oh my God, I'm not done, I knew that. We also wanted to honor one of our parents that was with us throughout the entire 9 days, Aubrey Johnson. And we also had a teacher just walk in, Alicia Toro Rodriguez. One more time for our students.
Can I have some of the little guys come a little bit forward?
Behind you.
All the way
Yeah.
forward.
There you go.
All the way forward.
Here we go. Perfect. All right. Fill it in. Terrell, you should probably go back. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. All right. Pretty good. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make this better. Everyone that's on this line, can you come sit right here?
Oh, yeah.
Because I want to see the board. You guys are hiding the board. So, can you guys come right here?
Terrell, you can sit if you want.
Yeah.
So
I just
that
want
way
to see everybody.
There we go.
Just to break it up a little bit so we can get all the board members too. That's awesome.
That's good. You're good.
Yeah,
You're
you're
good.
good. One person can stand, one person can sit.
That's
One person
good.
can sit. Perfect.
Right there. First, we made it. There you go.
There we go. Big smiles. I'm gonna be big over just 1 second. There we go. Don't go your face. Hey, can you bring yours over? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Everyone looks great. Thank you all very much.
Good.
Yeah. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead. Oh, we have a couple of students. A couple students just walked in. Oh. We have one more student that just came in, Nairi Simone.
Say hello to everyone. Say congratulations.
Congratulations.
You want to take a picture? Right there. Everybody was here. Gather up. Go back to the show. Come on, come back. Come back. Hit this right there. There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Anye, educators and students participated in that really important program. You know, I think Dr. Anye said it best. This is the kind of magic that happens in PPSD that isn't talked about often enough. And I'm so happy that the board had a small role to play in highlighting that here. So thank you again, Dr. Anye, your team, and everybody who participated in this program. Thank you. Now, everyone's encouraged. You're encouraged to stay for the rest of the school board meeting. But if for some reason you have something to go to, that was the end of our ceremony. for the students who participated in the equity program. But again, you're more than encouraged to stay if you want to be a part of the rest of the agenda. Pero quiero dejar a los familiares saber que si tienen alguna cosa que ir a hacer, eso ya terminó el programa de la ceremonia para los estudiantes y los maestros. Pero si quieren quedarse, están invitados de quedarse para el resto de la reunión de la Junta Escolar. Por favor. You guys are welcome here. Thank you. So next item on the agenda is public comment, right to be heard. And first on our list, we have Lindsay Paiva. I'll give folks a minute to file out if they need to. While everybody's shuffling out, I was gonna say this during our comment, but the school board application window is open, I think between now and November 17th, 16th? 17th. If you want to apply, please apply, providenceri.gov, applications online. Si quieren aplicar para la Junta Escolar, si están interesados en participar en la Junta Escolar, la aplicación de ser miembro está abierta, providenceri.gov, si quieren aplicar. Gracias. Ms. Paiva, the floor is yours. You have 3 minutes.
No.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, well, in the name of equity, I'm here to speak today. I am a third grade teacher at Webster Ave Elementary School. I'm here to speak today about recess in Providence Public Schools. I brought this prop, which is my current schedule, and I'll leave this here for you to see, and I'll show the audience later. General Law 1622 4.2, thanks, BK. Clearly states that all children attending Providence Public Schools that have elementary grades K to 6 should receive at least 20 consecutive minutes of supervised, safe, and unstructured free play recess every day. Unfortunately, as you may know, this has not been the case for students in Providence Public Schools for at least the past 3 years. Despite the extended school day this year, students are still not provided with 20 minutes of consecutive free play. Currently at my school on our schedules, as you can see, this infinitesimal gray block is the 10 minutes of recess that they are allotted each day, 30 minutes for lunch, 10 minutes of lunch is taken out and quote unquote considered recess. But if you've ever seen some elementary students, you know it often takes them about 15 minutes to go through the line at lunch. They have to swipe. Average lunch has about 100 kids in it, passing in a single file line to get lunch. And so it's impossible that they spend the first 15 minutes of their lunch in line getting a tray and then 10 minutes outside at recess. You do the math, you know, that's 5 minutes to eat, which is impossible, especially for kindergarten babies. So this year with the extended school day, students are spending over 370 minutes a day in academics with only 30 for lunch and 10 for recess. And despite the longer school day, they don't have extended specials periods. So like art and music and health, those have not been extended. So taking time out of lunch for recess isn't just illogical, but it's like literally impossible in most schools, you know. So the way that the schools are set up, at least at our school, we have a split playground, so they have to be moving from one side to the other. If you've ever lined up 8-year-olds, you know what's up, like that doesn't happen in 0 minutes. And so the problem is that some principals are allowing it to happen because they know it's the law and they want it to, but it's not codified in our schedules. And so some folks who are untenured or maybe you want to stick to the schedule aren't giving that time. And I know it's varying from school to school. And so this is an equity issue around how, it's breaking the law. And also, I mean, I'll just say in these, you know, however it's many days it's been, 7/27, the kids are really having a hard time getting through the longer day. And so it's critically important that we give them the recess time they deserve. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Tyler, would it be possible for you to send us a PDF of your schedule?
I got you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Next on our list, Andrew Grover. Thank you, Mr.
Hi.
Grover. You have 3 minutes. The floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Andy Grover. I live in Ward 5, and I'm here to speak about Mount Pleasant. I very, very much want to see a renovation of Mount Pleasant. I'm very concerned the plans for a demolition, even the partial renovation. To me, I've been to the public engagement. It seems more like a mostly demolition to me. They said I live in Ward 5. Also, I've been a public school teacher for 21 years. There's that as well. So I speak from that perspective. I would like to congratulate the Providence Public School District on some spectacular renovations that you've just done. Debate is one. I've watched a lot of this over the years. Debate is a spectacular renovation, as is Windmill. And I hate that Windmill that's a gorgeous building. It's a gorgeous building. It's a Depression era building. You've done a marvelous job with really making beautiful and worthy. I'm proud that kids in Providence go into that building. But I hate to say it, but now you've kind of proven to me that should be done with Mount Pleasant in no uncertain way. This idea of old crumbling buildings, I've lived in Rhode Island my whole life, and something that I've heard that often. Something that I've learned is when we value something, we don't use those words. The State House is old and crumbling. Didn't we just take the independent man off the top because there's cracks in the marble?
Yeah.
But we don't use those words when it comes to important buildings that really are beautiful and speak to our heritage. We save those, mostly I've seen for public school buildings. We pretend that they're not like that. And we let them fall apart, and then in the end we take them away from kids. That building is just as gorgeous as LaSalle around the corner, and I'd be ashamed that kids still get to walk into a beautiful 21st century LaSalle. There's a false dichotomy. The building can't be like that and also be 21st century. That I would be ashamed if that were the case and that Mount Pleasant were to come down. All right, I guess my time is up. Oh no! Oh, okay. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, well then, I guess because I am concerned about that. Now I know the costs have been cited. Well, as a Providence resident, I'm telling you that to me, being proud of where I'm sending the kids of the city into is definitely worth the cost. Because I'm aware of the fact that family members of mine worked on Mount Pleasant. They put everything into it when they built that school, and it was during the Depression. You think they didn't spare the expense with that, but you can tell by looking at it. We should be doing the same. So there's that, but I do also have to point out, I've lived here my whole life. These expenses that we quote for buildings have almost never been right. I hate it when we find out we knock something down and the costs of our new construction run over. That almost happened. I remember Nathan Bishop was also a spectacular renovation. That almost happened. We're kind of forced to admit that there was some costs that weren't put in there. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grove. Dr. Anya, these students that came in after the fact? Or
We have one that came in after the fact.
you guys want to snap a picture real quick?
Oh, great.
Welcome. You're welcome to come up here, take a picture with the board.
So this is Ayana.
Congratulations, Ayana. I don't know if you have friends.
Want to come around?
I'll come around, yes.
Okay.
I don't know if you have a friend in the crowd to take a picture of you.
I got it.
Thank you, Aubrey.
Yeah, your best English probably there. Thank you so much. Next on our list, Ms. Caitlin Crudell. Welcome, Ms. Crudell. You have 3 minutes. The floor is yours.
I know before she's trying to come back about the bees, and I'm still fighting for that, so you'll see me again. But I'm here now because you shut down the 3 schools. The traffic getting to school, let me tell you, is ridiculous. Kids on buses are even getting there late. The bus supposed to get my kids for 8:25. They're not getting there from 8:50, and they're not the last stop. So there's still like 3 or 4 stops after them. They don't get back to school until almost 9:30. Then they don't get home till 6 o'clock at night because there's no buses. And please explain to me, how did we shut down 3 schools, yet my child has a permanent sub who isn't even a qualified teacher in the RIDE computer system? That makes no sense to me. That needs to be touched on. in your private meetings that you guys always have that no one's involved in. Another issue I'm having is my friend who couldn't be here today because she had a family emergency. Family members don't even have teachers, they have administration filling in. So their job's not getting enough there in the classroom, so I don't know what their job's doing. And a Spanish teacher isn't there. So how are these kids learning languages when they don't even have a teacher to teach them the language? I've seen so many teachers that are leaving. But you had at least, I'm gonna give a rough number, maybe 100, probably more, of these schools that were closed, but they're not even in the department no more. So if they were all promised a job, why didn't they have a job? Because I've seen teachers who I personally am friendly with who were told, no, you can't have a job, no, you can't have a job, oh, we don't have any openings for you in your specialty, whatever it is. I know a teacher who had to go to a completely different state because there was no openings in Providence Public School Department for her. And she's a specialist in the special ed department. And I know for a fact you guys need special ed teachers because the school my kids are at are begging for them up until the day before school started. And I was even offered a job because I'm specializing in special ed in school. And I was offered to come and work, but I couldn't because of the program and I have to work where I am right now. And I have a 3-year contract with them. So my main issue is there was no organizing when it came to shutting all these schools down. So now there's no crossing guards. I literally had to get out of my car on Broad Street and help a child cross because there was none. And it was over near the CVS near La Grande de Prada, the restaurant. I got in my car, left my kids in my car, locked, of course, and walked a child across because she had no one to walk with her. And she wasn't, I don't even want to say more than 8 years old. So you guys need to get your stuff together at the department and figure that out.
Thank you, Ms. Crudell.
I'll get this stuff together.
Next person is Anna Cooperman. Welcome, Ms. Cooperman.
Hi.
You have 3 minutes, the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm here to talk about recess as well as a Providence teacher and really as a Providence parent who, when her kids were in elementary school, I sent them to the international charter school instead of a Providence public school, which broke my heart as a teacher here. And a lot of it is because I understand the need for free play. And it hurts me that our kids in Providence are not getting the amount of music, the amount of art, and the amount of outside time that they need. With this extra 30 minutes, that should all of those things should be the things that are increasing. This argument that what we need is more math and more English, our kids can't take in more math and English if they're falling asleep. They can't take those things in if they don't have any energy. They need recess in the morning, and they need recess in the afternoon, and they need play structures at every single elementary school. Those things need to be invested in. When we talk about equity and we talk about, what do our kids deserve? Let's look at the private schools. What do those kids deserve? That's what our kids deserve. Why do they have these amazing play structures? And so many of our elementary schools have, a concrete, I don't even know what to call it, a concrete playground, I guess. Even with that, they still need time. They need time so that they can socialize, so that they can learn how to play together, so that they can learn how to fight and figure things out. All of those things are absolutely crucial. And those are the things that are going to keep parents wanting to send their kids to our schools, the things that they're getting less and less and less time in our schools. So I just want to really encourage more time for recess, more time for play, more time for the arts, and more money for our play structures. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cooperman. Next on our list for public comment is Dr. Anya. You're all set, Dr. Anya?
Yes, thank you.
Next is Ms. Adriana Hazelton. Welcome, Ms. Hazelton. You have 3 minutes, the floor is yours.
Hello, Adriana Hazelton. I'm the Advocacy Manager at the Providence Preservation Society. So I'm here to speak about Mount Pleasant. I also want to introduce myself personally as a graduate of public high school
and of a state university, and I don't know, who knows what will happen in the future for anybody, but my kids will also be attending public schools, and that's something I feel very strongly about. We, PPS and their constituents and the Mount Pleasant community have been really concerned about the lack of transparency and the opaqueness around numbers being offered as options for renovation, partial demo, and a full demolition. And we really can't have a nuanced conversation about what that looks like until we understand where those numbers are coming from. And so we thought that the turnaround was going to be by September 15th, which caused a lot of people, including myself, a lot of stress. That date has come and gone, and we haven't seen a response. Other than that, renovation, or at least a full renovation, is off the table. And I'm hoping that this is an opportunity for us to look at those numbers together, understand where they're coming from, what exactly it means to have a new construction, what it actually means to restore a building, what it means to perhaps hold the facade and not anything else, and just have a variety of options on the table that the community can actually understand and feel like they can trust the process of what's going to be happening to their building and to the students. I think we can all agree that we all want what's best for the students, and that they get a great education in a great building. And a new building can do that, an old building can do that too. Other things that have happened in the past are, like Andy mentioned, the Nathan Bishop School, which had a very similar situation. When the numbers were contested, what happened was they never considered the removal of the materials from demolition as part of the number, and that basically raised the numbers to be equal. And so they went with a renovation. That could be happening here, and we just don't know, and we can't ethically accept those numbers until we understand what we're looking at. So this is an opportunity for not only to look at those numbers, but to consider other costs that may not have been incorporated. Other things we need to think about are environmental costs. The lead and asbestos that might be released into the air. The fact that it's a 300,000 square foot building is a huge amount, and it's no joke. But in the end, this is a public investment, which means that the public should be invested in what happens. And I'm really hoping that this board can help us figure out what's going on, build trust between us, PBS, and PPSD and the community, and create some kind of collaborative spirit that can help us find the best outcome for this school. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hazelton. Next on our list is Catherine Anderson. Welcome, Ms. Anderson. You have 3 minutes. The floor is yours.
My name is Catherine Anderson, and this is my 25th year as a public school educator and my 5th year teaching high school in Providence. I'm also the parent of a recent Providence High School graduate. I'm here to talk about recess. My son Sam, this is a poem about my son Sam, who attended elementary school out of state. He had recess 45 minutes a day. The poem is titled, What a Child May Never Learn About Themselves with Only 10 Minutes Recess. 1. Excerpts from emails home from Sam's classroom teachers, 2016. Sam's fidgety. Sam's having a little trouble keeping still. Sam, he's using materials inappropriately. We did talk about how a glue gun is not meant for your hair. Please see the attached note from the nurse about the slight burn on his temple. The handwriting practice sheet made a great paper airplane. He's going to the bathroom so often, Catherine. Sam's handwriting still needs attention. Sam speaks out of turn. He has great vocabulary. He just interrupts a lot. He's having trouble making friends with peers his own age in class. Part 2. Calls home from the playground monitor and gym teacher in 5th grade. Hey, Catherine, guess who was the captain of the kickball team today? And he made sure everyone got a turn. What maturity. Exceptional hand-eye coordination during baseball. If we had a gifted and talented class for athletics, Sam would be teaching it. Hey, can you give us a call? There's a request from a parent that Sam might be allowed to have an extra recess to join her severely autistic son on the playground, because Sam is the only one that he feels safe with. Sam was playing alone at recess today, Catherine. He was throwing a tennis ball against the wall over and over and over again, I just wanted to let you know. Sam brought his remote control plane to school, and he played with it at recess. You know how much he loves sharing it with kids and talking about everything he knows about flying? Postscript. My son Sam was recently accepted into the Luke Weathers Flight Academy in Olive Branch, Mississippi, and the American Airlines Mentor Program in Memphis. He started 3 weeks ago. If my son Sam had not had the opportunity to turn pieces of paper that were meant to practice his handwriting into airplanes, to take those airplanes outside into the playground, to learn that kids liked him because of his athleticism, and kids didn't know what to do with him because of his profound ADHD that was not diagnosed until the end of 5th grade. So I want to just ask you, I want to let you know that his 45 minutes of recess was a lifeline when he was in elementary school in Portland, and our students deserve the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. Next on our list, Naya Isom Agazi. Welcome, you have 3 minutes, the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Naya Isamagazi. I'm a student from PCTA. I'm also a respect student. I'm here to talk about the incidents and the fights at KP. I'm also here to talk about how adding another school to PCTA is not helping our students. Well, first, a lot of the kids at PCTA, when I didn't witness any of the fights, but when I first came to school, a lot of the kids were shooken up about the KP fights because they were scared to even go back on the buses. Some kids got maced, some kids were scared because of how much fighting there was. They were just trying to get to school. And I think it's really unfortunate that kids that just want to get to school can't even get to school. They have to be bombarded by violence like in the first thing in the morning. And I think having all the buses and all the kids there at one time really contributed to that. And I think that even talking with some of the teachers and stuff, and I was asking, well, how did this happen? Because I just got a text from my friend that there's another KP fight. So it's not like it's like one incident, it's one group of kids. Obviously there's a problem. And I think that if we had different timings for the buses, that would help. And this has already been brought up, but I think if we actually got more student input, because I haven't seen a lot of kids here. I think it's unfortunate that we don't have a lot of kids here because a lot of the stuff and decisions that you're making is for kids. So we should have a voice. And I'm here because most of the students in my class could not make it. Also, for the other school that's here, a lot of the pastry kids that are at PCTA can't even focus on their schoolwork because they're too worried about having to move classes because of another school in there. Our school is already small as is. We have as much kids as we have for a reason. And to have more kids in there and for them to take up room that we need is unfair. We have to be forced to be in the library while the librarian can't even do her work because we're there. And then we're distracted. That's not fair. I think another thing is with that is that not only do we have to sacrifice our room, we also have to sacrifice the arts. We don't have art class. That makes me wonder because we need art to graduate. What will the freshmen do? What will the freshmen have for art? Art's very important. I love art. Before I was in pre-engineering, I was in graphics. I love graphics very much, but I decided to switch. I love film, anything that has to do with art. If I can't even come to school and have art, then what's the point?
Thank you, Can you make sure that our Madam Clerk gets your contact info? I'd like to set up a meeting with the student. Thank you. Next on our list, Gary Dantzler. No Gary Dantzler. Next, we have Judith Dixon, Deborah Muther, and Catherine Strayer, who all submitted written testimony. Madam Clerk, can you make sure that the board gets copies of the written testimony? And then finally, I believe Mr. Joe Buchanan has signed up for public comment. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. I came in here a little bit upset, but that guy made me feel a little better.
Welcome, Mr. Buchanan. You have 3 minutes. Floor is yours.
Good evening, Superintendent, School Board, my good friend Terrell. I'm here tonight for a few reasons. Number one is that the school board is appointed by the mayor. So that means you have authority to speak with the governor and to the commissioner about our schools. You know, Providence is going to take over these schools in a year and a half, and I hope that the school board has a plan. So therefore, I suggest that we speak to my governor and our governor and make sure that the commissioner understands what we want, not what we need. What we want, what our students want, what our parents want, what our grandparents want. And I'm a great-grandparent and a great-great-grandparent. And I'm a graduate of Central High School in 1971, and I'm 71 years old. And I want you to stand up and have some guts. Take on this commissioner, take on this governor, and get what we need for our students in our schools. Number two, the so-called incident that they had downtown, even though it was on camera, from what I gather is that the police allowed the kids to fight until they hurt each other, and then they want to come in and break it up. We should have some of our leading parents or students from the school be downtown monitoring with a badge so they know who we are. Never mind the police macing our children. We all know we have good and bad on both sides. So if we're going to allow our police to allow our children to fight and then break it up, then we're doing a disservice to ourselves, to our community, and to the Providence Police Department. Because I know the chief would allow that. Number three, the 40 or so black and brown administrators and teachers that got harmed during the virus, I'm very upset with it. As you know, we don't have any teachers as it is. And we're laying off teachers. We have people that was right here that some of the school department was upset with. I'm not saying our superintendent. I'm saying the people that run our school, which is the state. They don't want some of the black and brown teachers or administrators for some unforeseen reason. And I say, as the school board, you guys should look into the way the governor, who is my governor, who I supported, and the commissioner are treating some of our teachers and administrators. And you, as minority board, school board, should be ashamed of yourself for not looking at some of that crap. Right. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. I believe that concludes our public comment section. Next up on our agenda is school board member comments. I'd like to kick off with a couple of house cleaning announcements. So number one, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Ibiemi, who with the resignation of Dr. Mark Santow has become our acting school board secretary. Thank you so much for serving in this capacity, Mr. Ibiemi. Next, I'd like to congratulate Dr. Robert Santana, who also with the resignation of Dr. Mark Santow has assumed the role of policy committee chair. So congratulations again, and I'm so excited for the work. She's gonna have a hefty agenda amongst many things, which includes a revision of our school building closure policy, which hasn't been updated since I believe 1980. 91. So it's been a long time coming, and I'm excited for Dr. Robert Santana to get to work. And then the last house cleaning item I'd like to bring up is just a gentle reminder to everyone, if you are interested, if you know anyone that's interested in joining the school board, the application window is open. Please sign up. The application, you can find the application at providenceri.gov. I encourage anyone you have to be a Providence resident. That's the only requisite. If you're a Providence resident, please submit your name. This dialogue can only benefit from your input and perspective. That does it for me. Any other school board members interested in any public comment?
Yeah.
Mr. Mahingabo?
Me too, but can we make sure the city solicitor is in the room for my public comment, please? Thank you.
Sure, James. James, I don't know if you're in the room, if you want to go find him.
I want to thank everybody for coming today regarding the incidents that happened in Kennedy Plaza with the Providence Public Schools. I'm a board member also in PERA, a board that oversees the police department in Providence. We have a meeting tomorrow on Thursday. I'm gonna be working with our board to make sure we address these situations. And as a chair also of the Health and Awareness Committee, we make sure to work with the district to make sure that we don't only hold our Health and Awareness Committee here, but inside the school to make sure the students get involved. So I'm gonna make sure we start in October. And I want also to thank the superintendents and all his staff and the teachers for the amazing work they've done for the first day of school.
Yes.
And me and my colleague Tarell went to visit and spoke to students, teachers, and the parents, and I was amazed. So I'm very thankful. However, I want to address this. I was very disappointed about the commissioner, as he told me and Tarell that we cannot visit schools. This is unacceptable and also very shameful, and not attempt by the commissioner and the school district to stop board members from visiting schools. I want also to talk about this week. I heard about from community members and also community leaders that we have a dozen of students on the waiting to be placed on the school in the PPSD. I was able to work with our school board, Tower, and the superintendents. The superintendents informed us that they hired extra staff. They are working very hard, including during the weekend. So I'm very thankful for that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mahingabo, and thank you for taking a leadership role in addressing that issue, for meeting with the superintendent and getting answers. Dr. Robertson.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to everyone who spoke up today about. Can you speak up, please?
You can steal the mic.
Oh, sorry. Wait, hold on. Mess here. There now. Yes. Okay. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone who came up here to speak about policy-related issues, specifically recess. I think it's very important to know and understand that recess is crucial as a parent of children with special needs. I know how important it's been for them. I immediately went online and checked. We do have a policy 801, which is the wellness policy. So I think both the wellness committee and the policy committee can definitely touch base to see how we can make sure that there are either regulations or any, what do we need to move the needle forward on that. I will definitely talk about more policy stuff when we talk about the policy committee, but I wanted to just highlight that. And also, what else did I have? I have one more thing, my apologies. Okay, I'll talk more about the policy committee, but I just want to say I guess I'll say in the policy committee. All right, sorry everyone, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Robert Santana. Mr. Stevens, the solicitor's in the room.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Really quick, according to the bylaws, do school board members have a limit on their comment? According to the bylaws.
Is that a question?
Question. Yes, sir.
Is there a limit?
Yes, sir.
Time?
Yes.
No, I believe it's generally allowed by the chair.
Thank you.
The duration of the time.
Okay.
Comment.
Can we make sure this camera's on me right here, please? So the public can view it. Can we just make sure it's turned?
First and foremost, I'm back. Thank God I missed 2 school board meetings, so I am in fact back. So I want to thank everyone for that. I first want to thank Naya for speaking up about the fights at Kennedy Plaza. I did in fact have that on my comments, and I'm happy that the board president said that he wants to get your contact information. I know what we used to do is we used to have, what was it? We used to have schools get out at different times to avoid this issue. So I hope that we can sort of look into that and probably get back to that, because this is in fact why the issue is sort of occurring. So hopefully different schools can get out at different times so certain kids can go home. I want to thank the superintendent and his team for an amazing first day of school. I had a great opportunity to visit schools. Me and Night Jean, the schools was Kennedy Plaza, Hope High School, Juanita Sanchez Educational Complex, which I graduated from, Nathaniel Green Middle School. Truly was an honor. Also, I'm glad for the smooth transition into Narducci, DeBay, and Spaziano Elementary School. I also would like to thank Dr. Onye and our equity office for their amazing hard work, for the students, teachers, awards that you gave on today. I did sort of hear a lot about that work, and I spoke to you about it, so I'm very, very grateful for that. Great job to the superintendent and his full team on what they're doing in that capacity. On the other hand, some may have seen me actively on Twitter, calling some of my colleagues rubber stampers, and I still do agree to some extent with that comment I made. My question is this: what's different from the mayor telling reporters that the school board need to do their due diligence than for me calling you rubber stampers on contracts? President Rogel blocking parents and community members on Twitter, I believe, is highly unacceptable. President Rogel, you are an official community member. The community should have access to go to you and address their concerns with you. You've ignored not only the community, but me at times, so hope that we can clear that up. People have publicly called, I want to say for my resignation, called me incompetent, everything but a child of God, people have called me. So, Mr. President, please try to reconsider sort of what you have done into blocking different individuals. Also, I want to thank Vice President Escobar for reaching out to me and Night Jean and speaking to us to clarify some of those things. Allen Shaw Feinstein building shouldn't have closed. I just agree that it shouldn't. I had the opportunity to go by there and I see people in the building. It said it was a crumbling building, it was unsafe, so I just disagree with that. Couple more comments, and I'll move on. Also, I asked your team superintendent if teachers will, I guess one of the parents said it, if teachers will be hired after sort of the school buildings and school closures close. And will they sort of be displaced, or will it be a concern whether they get hired or not? And your team said no, superintendent. So for me, hearing this, I don't know if it's a fact, but I definitely want to schedule a meeting to meet with your team about that, because if in fact that's true, I have a little concern about that. Want to congratulate Chairwoman Robert Santana. Want to congratulate Secretary Ibiemi on their appointments. Truly want to thank you all for that. And then lastly, some people have questions about whether Mr. Stevens, myself, is incompetent, or is Mr. Stevens just a hellraiser. I think I should share this with you. Give me 2 seconds. Mr. Stevens is the reason why Juneteenth is added on the calendar. If you don't believe me, ask Senior Advisor Ms. Jackson. Mr. Stevens is the reason why there's an operating equity office. If you don't believe that, ask Ms. Jackson. Mr. Stevens is the reason why CTE isn't taken out of the bylaws despite the last leadership wanting to get rid of it. If you don't believe me, Vice President Escobar is right here for you. Mr. Stevens came to the board to advocate as well when I first got on here for the removal of SROs. As soon as I got on here, I worked with Mr. Escobar and the board and Dr. Santel on pushing that through. So is Mr. Stevens incompetent? Mr. James Scott, I'm not here to be liked. Mr. Redden, I know you asked the question as well on Twitter. Are you a real person? Some people believe that was a statement directed to me. So am I a real person? I will say yes. Why would I say that? Because if it wasn't for Tyrell Stevens, You in the commissioner's office wouldn't have been up all night trying to cover up graduation inflation. If it wasn't for Tyrone Stevens and I wasn't a real person, you wouldn't have tried to cover up the situation with harassment complaints with the senior advisor. If Mr. Stevens wasn't in fact a real person, you in your office wouldn't have tried to come up with a last minute contract to hire the superintendent. So am I a real person, Mr. Redden? I think that I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Stevens. I just want to directly address the part where I was mentioned. If I have blocked any community members, I welcome a conversation. My account has been hacked before, so I do block like anonymous accounts or bots. But in that blocking, I may have blocked community members. So if there's anybody who's out there who's like a community member and I've inadvertently blocked them, please bring the name to my attention and I'll make sure that has been done.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Dr. Robert Santana, I believe you wanted another comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to, one of the things that's very important to me as a parent is to make sure that we are following the things that we're supposed to be following as they are followed. And Mr. Stevens, I appreciate your comments and the fact that you're highlighting your, capabilities. But I do, since you started with a question that really, really like caught my attention in terms of timing, I just want to highlight for you something.
Oh, go ahead.
Board comments. Board comments provides an opportunity for board members to recognize accomplishments of members of the school community, bring forward announcements of interest to the school community, assess meeting expectations and process, and request information to bring back to the board for future discussion.
Absolutely, and it also is exactly what I said.
Mr. Stevens.
It's exactly what I said. What I said.
Mr. Stevens.
I said what I said,
Mr. Stevens,
and
just let
it
me
stands as what I said. This is what I said. This is what I said. This is what I said. You ain't gonna cook this. No, you're.
Dr. Robert Santana, can we wrap it up?
Yeah, can we wrap it up, please? Wrap it up.
I just want to make sure.
Wrap it up.
This is productive.
You know I don't care. We can go all night. You know I don't care. You know I don't care. You know I don't care.
I love
This is what I mean.
display.
We're gonna move on
This is what I
past
mean.
board member comments.
Yes, we're gonna move on.
To
Yeah, no, you're disrespectful.
committee updates.
You're mad you got called out. That's what it is.
Out.
You're
Where?
representing.
Where?
Mr. Stevens,
That's
please.
Where did I get called out?
Please.
You don't know me like that. Stay to yourself. We're gonna move on.
All right,
Thank you.
As a
Stevens.
parent, I appreciate.
I know parents. I was a
All right.
student. As a
Committee
student,
updates.
I know. I was a
We're gonna
student.
start off with policy
Okay.
committee updates.
Thank
Robert
you.
Santana, can we move on to
Have a
committee
good day.
updates?
Messing with the wrong one.
Ms. Robert Santana, can we move on to
Check
policy
my
committee
references.
updates?
Yes, we can move
You
to
better
policy
check my
committee.
references.
Mr. Stevens, you moved on.
All right,
Policy committee
I've
updates.
been chaired policy anyway.
policy committee. I'm just gonna talk briefly about it. Thank you, everyone. One of my biggest requests, and I made this request
No.
to the board, and it's to have the policy committee members.
Keep it, I don't care. Should have kept her comments to herself.
I didn't say that to you when
Ms.
you
Ms.
put
Robert
your
Santana, can we
Go
just
comment.
ahead,
proceed
go ahead.
with the policy
Talk.
committee
I'll
updates?
stop. Go ahead. Talk about nothing.
All right, the policy committee, one of the things that I've requested from the board is to have all board members present at policy committee because policy is very important. Right now, we just have 1 or 2 members show up. One of the most important things about policy is that a lot of things that I've heard since I started in January that we have been commenting and all the important comments that have been done by community members, parents, and teachers are related to policy. A lot of our policies are not implemented. A lot of our policies do not have regulations that accompany it. One of the policies that we're going to be focusing on this year is school closure. And one of the things that we're going to be doing, it's not only calling it school closure, it's considering school openings and closure, especially with some of the things that we saw at the beginning of the school year this year with some delays and things like that, just to make sure that all of our communities are informed. Another thing that we want to be focusing on is special education and making sure that we are looking at policy and special education. Now that I would love to work with the wellness director to discuss the wellness policy related to recess. And then another thing is today we are going to hear 2 specific policies. One is the policy related to grading, the grading policy. We had great discussions about it. We had some board members provide feedback in writing regarding the grading policy. I'm going to hear about that policy today. And we're also going to hear about another policy that we're going to do. I believe we have a second reading of a policy, and we're also going to be listening to additional information about another policy. I don't see it here. The bullying and harassment policy, which is another very important for our first read too. So we're going to do the second read of the attendance policy, first read of the grading policy, and first read of the bullying and harassment policy. Another thing just related to the comment that the young lady did today, I would love to see students and parents at the policy committee meeting. I know it's hard. I have 3 jobs, so I get it. It's very difficult to be present at those meetings, but the more people we have at those meetings, the more people involved, participating. We have some policies that are from 1991, some policies that have not been upgraded in the past 10 years. And so making sure that we are present at those policy meetings so that we can really impact and try to work on making changes that are relevant to the things that are currently happening within our district.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Moving on to Finance Committee, Secretary Biemi.
Yes, Mr. President, we had a meeting of the Finance Committee last week. When we get to report on contracts, we have some reports to make on those contracts we saw last week. Also, at the conclusion of the meeting last week, there was a contract that was supposed to be on the table, but it got reported late. So we asked the district to bring that to conversation today. And you'll be seeing that when we get to report on contracts. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Mahingabo, Health and Wellness Committee update.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we will have our next Health and Awareness Committee meeting next week. I'll be meeting with the school districts tomorrow at noon, so to approve the agenda for our next meeting next Wednesdays. And we're gonna be posting this online as soon as this approved.
Thank you, Chairman. Vice President Escobar, CTE Committee update.
Our next committee meeting is on September 28th. But I also want to say for school board comments, and we had said that, but recess, kids deserve recess. I don't even think that it should be something that, we have to do a policy committee on. I would ask superintendent, folks in this room, to ensure that kids have recess. I'm kind of mind blown like that was a huge agenda item, and it's the law. So hope to not see that issue in the future, and I hope that that's just again, just pretty mind blown on that issue. And again, CT committee meetings.
Thank you, Vice President. Next, policy and planning items. We have the second read of attendance policy. Do I have a motion to approve 8.1, the attendance policy?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
A second.
You have a motion, second. All in favor?
I just want, I know this is the second read, but I don't know, Chairwoman, if you want to say anything around.
Chairwoman, if there's any discussion around this item, I briefed you because it's second read, but if you have something to say, you're welcome to. Well, thank you, Vice President.
I do not have any additional comments. I think there was a lot of work and a lot of intention with this policy. So I think thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Next 2 items are the first read of the grading policy, 8.2, and then 8.3, bullying and harassment policy. I don't know if there's anyone here to touch on those items briefly. Welcome. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Is it working? Okay. Good evening, board members. My name is Colleen Van Brunt. I'm the Executive Director of Teaching and Learning. Good evening, Gina Sylvia, Director of School Counseling. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to give you an overview of the grading policy. As Chairwoman knows, we had a committee working on this since around this time last year. This work began with our former Chief Academic Officer, and through that time we've had over 24 separate meetings with various stakeholders, building the policy, really striving towards aligning with Dr. Onye's and our district's new equity policy. Overarching, when we think about the goals and the goals of the policy and what we were trying to make in terms of shifts from our current policy, is thinking about the fact that traditional grading practices perpetuate our achievement and opportunity gaps. And we are striving towards promoting bias-free and objective assessments of academic progress, really striving towards transparency in terms of expectations between teachers, students, our families, reinforcing growth mindsets, a focus on learning and student agency. And so, as you've read the policy, there are some pieces that have remained the same from the original or the current policy to the new policy because those are still considered best practice. There are also some shifts in the policy. Some of those shifts include students having multiple opportunities to show progress towards content and standards. The reason that that is a part of this new policy is to ensure all of our students to reinforce their ability to continue striving towards success and academic excellence, to not give up when something may happen where they need to recover course content, standards, credit, for whatever reason, so that they maintain the opportunity to be successful in their academic year. We are also going to, another addition in the new policy is that grades and scores will be reported weekly throughout each quarter so that parents and families and students are aware of their progressions towards course mastery throughout and on a more consistent basis. And then we are working towards having assessments and assignments with clear criteria, rubrics, and purpose. So an example of that would be, how are we weighting different assignments in our courses? Thinking high level about this policy, really it comes down to ensuring that our students and our families have consistent experiences no matter what school they go to, no matter what classroom they walk into. They know what's expected of them and they know how to achieve success, so that an A in biology at Alvarez means the same thing as an A in biology at PCTA, that there are consistent practices around things like, do we accept late work? Some teachers may, some teachers may not. And so things like that create inequitable opportunities for our students. And so that's part of this process, is driving towards equitable opportunities for them. And so with that, thank you for allowing Gina and I to come and speak to you about the policy tonight.
Thank you so much. We're starting item 8.2, grading policy. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yep, I just wanted to say thank you. One of the things that I wanted to highlight is we had a lot of discussion around just children understanding what it means to have a certain grade, right? Like, what does a 50 mean to a child? And so I think it's important to know that this policy is going to be able to help our kiddos with that. And so in terms of equity and things like that. So, and Mr. Stevens, my apologies. I'm a grown up. I didn't finish my point, President Royale. It was more about the importance of following our regulations or bylaws, because that's how Mr. Stevens started. I'm going to apologize to the public. You're not here for this. You're not here to listen to people argue. I am here for my child. I'm here for Providence students. I'm here for Providence parents and for Providence teachers. So again, my apologies for the arm wrestle display. My apologies to my board members for telling me to be quiet. And thank you so much for the grading policy. Another thing that I wanted to say, per policy, we are supposed to be writing regulations related to policies so that we can make sure that they're implemented across the board. As a parent of a Providence school student, I am getting the weekly grade updates, which is awesome because my child got a 0 in a grade, and I was immediately able to go to the teacher and say, hey, how can we make this up? Like, what's going on? Why did he not do well on, And so I think it's going to be a great awakening for parents to be able to see those grades. So if board members have an opportunity, please read the policy so that we're ready for the second read. Parents,
families, community members, I encourage you to, be able to review the policy so that if you have any input, any comments or any questions, you're able to provide that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Any further discussion on item 8.2? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries. Item 8.3, bullying and harassment policy, first read. Welcome back, Dr. Anya. If you'd like to briefly give us an overview.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Nicole Leonia. I'm the Chief of Equity for Providence Public Schools. With me, I have my colleague, Dr. Garian Diaz, who's our Title IX officer, Title IX and EEO officer. She's going to brief you on this policy.
Good evening, school board members. As Dr. Oni mentioned, my name is Dr. Garian Diaz, and I'm here to talk to you all a little bit about our bullying and our student and staff bullying and harassment policy. Thank you, Dr. Robert Santana, for speaking with us and going through this policy. I also want to highlight that this was a collaboration effort. We also worked with our new policy advisor, Andrea, on this. And so I want to give shout outs to her as well, as she helped me pour over this Google Doc, and that was really helpful. A couple updates that we did to this policy were really just alignment. So as you all know, we have a Title IX policy that covers any type of sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, or sexual violence. And so there was a lot of that in here. And so we pulled that out so that there could be alignment, because that's already in our Title IX policy. So we didn't need to double dip. And then we provided some more strategic guidance around, we added a couple definitions, and then we provided some strategic guidance around what happens, what is bullying and harassment, what happens when a student is found responsible, and also, this also is for staff. So we created some alignment there to show what happens if a staff is engaging in any bullying and harassment. But like I said, it was really mostly for alignment, to take out some of those things. And then, as Dr. Robert Santana was saying, we have already started to draft some regulations to ensure that once this policy is hopefully approved by you all, we can start to train in our building leaders so that they know what the next steps are.
I wanted to add too, we do have a separate document with the changes highlighted so you can compare. And then we gave that to the policy committee at our meeting. If everyone would like that, we can make sure Chair gets that and she can share that with everyone on the board.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. If you could make that happen. Thank you, Dr. Anya. Dr. Ian, please.
Dr. Diaz.
Diaz. Thank you both. Do I have a motion to approve item 8.3, bullying and harassment policy, first read?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, report on contracts. Do I have a motion to approve items 9.1 through 9.13?
Mr.
Chairman
President.
Ibiemi, did you want to pull any out?
Yeah, Mr. President, I respectfully ask that we don't just approve 9.1 to 9.13 as a bulk like that.
Okay.
Because of those exemptions I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Of particular reference, the first one is 9.4, the Sheehan Office Interior.
Yep.
So at the Finance Committee meeting last week, we went through all these contracts, we went through them rigorously. We had some reservations about the cost implications, which we did, the members did some due diligence and found out there's a disparity between the cost that was found on the internet and the cost that has been presented. So we requested for additional information because we did table that we will have to discuss that at the general meeting if we get additional information. Yesterday, we got some information, but it looks like that information actually had more questions than answers. So we are respectfully requesting a continuation of this while the Finance Committee have another meeting with the district on this contract so that we can clarify the reservations that we have. So as a result of that, I'm going to ask that we pull that out of the items to vote tonight, 9.4. Secondly, I don't know if you want me to go up through all of them at once or just want to go for them one by one.
Go to them all at once, Chairman.
Okay, so 9.9 is Sonitral Security Systems. We had some questions on this also. And as of Friday, when Ms. Chiara sent us information that we requested, she said she was still waiting for it. I just checked my email. I have not received that information that we require for the Sonitral Security Systems.
I got it.
You got it? Okay. So the only thing we wanted to get is that the details about that compositions because it has to do with some monthly services. Mr. Stevens, you've gone through it?
I did, but I know it was more Tony Aiken that wanted a lot of specific questions on it.
Okay. So that one also, I will respectfully ask that we just give a little bit of more time for us to look at it. And 9.13 is the last one. No specific questions on this than to, it wasn't discussed at the last meeting because it was brought after. It wasn't put on the agenda. 9.13. 9.13. The piercing. So we would like, okay, I think we have somebody to talk about that and we can discuss that. Mr. Scott?
Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, just note the Sonatrol contract, that's kind of mission critical. That's the security apparatus for all our schools. So if we don't have that in force, then there's no alarms near the schools. We'd sent along the information on the Sheehan's office interiors. That's actually a state MPA, so it's a state master price agreement that I think 29 other districts in Rhode Island use it. Somebody gave me that number, I can verify that, but piggybacking state MPAs is pretty common. So just to clarify that.
Mr. President, that has not clarified my concern or the Finance Committee concern. Because when we're looking at it, especially 9.9, we specifically asked that, what are the details of these expenses? And it's like, okay, maybe there's something that needs to be done. And maybe there's a call for service and everything. And we asked that if we can get some updates on that. It's not like, okay, we're approving 308,000 and it's just going to be 33,000 service every month. We want to know the details of it. And I think that's what we asked. Mr. Zascott, you're in the room. We requested for that examples of those. So, and we've not gotten that.
I have a question for clarification. I'm just looking on the contract. I'm still on finance. It says from the contract will begin from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. So am I looking at the right? For security, right? For security. So technically, are we already contracted with them? Again, I'm not in the finance, I'm just.
This is a contract that has multiple years, and this is an extension.
Exactly.
It would typically come in June on our, as we shared with the board, on our, like the base services contracts, like our computers and things like that. So it wasn't included on there, so we did this out of transparency to put it on. I believe all the information that was requested was sent on Friday. So that's why we were a little confused about what information was still.
What I saw on Friday, and I think it's a good afternoon. I'm still waiting on the request for additional information on Sheehan's Sonitral Security System and grading policy. That was sent to me by Ms. JR on Friday.
Sonitral was sent on Friday?
I sent Sonatrol, the new contract was sent over when I had to redo it.
Okay.
Yes.
And did the board, you said you received it, Mr. Stevens?
I did, yes.
So I just want to understand, so what is the risk to the district if you don't approve, let's go, any of these three contracts today? I just want to make sure that the board is making an informed decision tonight.
I do not have any, Mr. President, I do not have any reservation about the Sonitral Security System, especially when my colleague said he has received it. The email I read has not been received, but we just wanted, this is service contract, which is essential. I was just asking for the details. But the Sheehans actually brought more questions than answers.
Understood. So, Chairman, if I'm understanding correctly, 9.9, your concerns Can be reserved for now when we could pass that tonight. But the
Yes,
other
we
two-
can pass 9.9 tonight. 9.13, we did not hear anything about it, but we hope that somebody is here to present that for us, so we can vote on that one, 9.13.
Mr. President, really quick.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes, really quick to the superintendent as well. I know we was in the meeting. There was just like a lot of typos. So if you could like speak to your team and try to like figure them out, like some of the contract types was checked off different. Some of the pricings was different. You know, in the private sector, a lot of these things is unacceptable. So if you could just speak to your team to make sure we clean that up, be greatly appreciated. But we can definitely, I feel comfortable with approving the security systems one, but going into next year, we really need to get some more sort of detail on sort of the next security system we want to sort of select and different things like that, because there's a lot of concerns that Ms. Aiken had, so.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. I see that Ms. Stewart has stepped forward. Ms. Stewart, do you have any comment on these items?
I think the one that I'm going to be speaking on is 9.13, which is what we call the dolls. Thank you for adding it tonight. I apologize, it wasn't on the original, so thank you for allowing us the opportunity to share the contract with you. The contract is for $76,631. It's a purchase for an annual subscription to Pearson's digital library, which provides an access number of assessments and evaluation tools that is utilized by our special education staff and teachers. And what it does is often replaces the actual physical kits. So it's all digitized versus having the old-fashioned paper and pencil. This is aligned with our turnaround action plan in the area of efficient district systems, as well as providing excellence in learning. Through this purchase, each school psychologist, school social worker, speech pathologist, and special educators will complete their educational testing and be able to access all of the protocols, the testing, the forms, and materials electronically, which will also help support the testing with students and also things that we have and require families to complete. Previously, all the materials were kept in one location. Employees would have to request copies and share and all those things. And as we're growing all of those great support staff, it just makes it a lot easier to have it all digitized. Additionally, the subscription would provide access to most of the up-to-date culturally and linguistically appropriate materials because they consistently upgrade those quicker than what they do with paper. And it would also be aligned to best practice for appropriately identifying the strengths and weaknesses and recommendations from educators around students and their assessment. So I respectfully ask if you could please approve that so we could continue and our educators could utilize that.
Dr. Stewart, what is our, Ms. Stewart? I don't know if you're a doctor. Are you a doctor?
No, not yet. I don't have time, you know, so not yet.
What is, are there any challenges if we continue this to the next school board meeting?
Yes, only because then that will prolong the teachers wouldn't be able to get the subscription, and they would have to from now until then continue to do everything paper pencil, and they would have to be sharing. So it would, you know, make a backlog of them being able to access things as quick and do those assessments.
Chairman Abiami, is there any question that you can ask tonight that I'll satisfy the information that you were seeking? Maybe someone here can provide it.
No, I have read through this proposal and I'm comfortable with it, except that we've said it many times, the name of the contractor, the characters are very small, and that's one of the reasons what
yeah, it's a
Mr.
fillable
Stevens was talking about. We don't know what's the name here. I don't know. I don't use glasses, maybe you use glasses.
I
So
agree
we want
with you.
this to, you know, like, please present it to us in a eligible form that it will be easier for us to read.
It's
But
a fillable form that we have to fill out and it automatically shrinks it, but I will try to figure it out with some help from my colleagues. But it says Pearson Digital Assessment Library for Schools. And just to make you feel better, I had to do it at 200 so I could see it, so.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. All right.
Thank you.
What about item 9.4? Is there anyone here to speak to that item? That's Sheehan Office Interiors?
That would be me also.
Okay.
No, Mr. President, I respectfully ask that we talk about this, let's take it out of the,
Okay.
so that we can address the concerns that we have, which the members have, if you don't mind. We can have this discuss at, at whatever time that is convenient for
Sure.
you.
Do you want to send those to me and then I send it to you, or will you put it on the agenda for October? Just
No,
so that way
I respectfully want us to address it before October.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is that we talk about it offline. I mean, we can set up an appointment with you to address that reservation specifically. And once we get through that, I'm fine with that. So.
Okay.
So.
Sounds good.
The chairman's recommendation is to continue those items?
Yes.
Continue items 9.4.
No, only that item.
Only.
Yeah, only that item 9.13. 4. No,
9.4.
9.13 is fine.
Okay, so 9.3.
Only 9.4 is fine.
All right. So I guess the motion that I'm hearing right now is approve items 9.1 through 9.13 and continue item 9.4.
Correct.
That is the motion on the floor, is to pass items 9.1 through items 9.13, but continue item 9.4. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a comment.
Vice President Escobar?
Yeah, just looking at the dates for the contracts, right? Like one of the contracts is withstanding, I think it says like September 1st. We, as a board member, I think we historically have gotten into an aspect where we need to approve this because we need to do work for X, Y, and Z, but also why are contracts coming to a time period where we have to pass this now? I mean, I think we should know well in advance. We should have 2 months before. We should, and I don't know, I'll leave this for finance to talk about. Maybe as a leadership team, we can talk about it as well. But that just seems, it doesn't give the board enough time to hold the district either accountable or allow for transparency. And I've always felt uncomfortable about these situations. It's not the only time that I've seen this in the board, where it's like we have to pass something now. So I would ask for us to create a better system for how we're passing contracts going forward.
Quick comment.
Well noted. Mr. Stevens?
Yeah, we did, I believe, spoke about it at the last finance committee meeting. So I'm hoping that, like Mr. Scott and everybody will sort of get on top of that, but I did address that. I know 9.11, that contract had already started and we didn't approve it. So I did mention that and bring it up. So I'm trusting the district that they'll do their due diligence next time these contracts come up and give us enough time to sort of approve it and not sort of rush us.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Any further comment, Chairman ABM?
Yes, in fairness to the district, this was supposed to be addressed in August.
Okay.
But there was no finance committee in August. So that's the reason why these are being pushed into September. So most of the contracts had the date of August, but we did not have a finance committee in August. So that's why we had to discuss it in September.
Thank you for that context, Chairman. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, we have a couple of action items. Review of homeschool candidates. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Good evening. So we're presenting to you tonight homeschool candidates who have met the requirements of Rhode Island general law and of our school board policy for homeschooling. So we're submitting those to you tonight for approval.
Thank you, and I believe there's an additional student that we are adding to this
Yes,
item.
yes. There's one student.
Mr. Solicitor, I just want to make sure that, do we have to amend the item or?
No, the item's perfectly noticed on the
Okay.
agenda. We can just add the student as well.
Understood. All right. Do we have a motion to approve item 10.1, review of homeschool candidates?
So moved.
A motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 10.2 is the transmittal of the turnaround action plan update to the Providence School Board. I believe that this is just a report that's due to us under the Zurier legislation. Biannually, we're supposed to receive the biannual update on the TAP plan. We're going to send this to the policy committee, Chairwoman, for vetting. That sounds good. So I'm just going to, I don't think we need a motion on that. I'm just going to send it to the policy committee. Next item is presentations. This is one of our quarterly TAP updates. If you remember, we started the quarterly TAP updates, I believe, in March. That first one was a really long presentation. After that, we decided to kind of dig into each pillar. There's 4 quarterly TAP updates, 4 pillars. Where we're going to use each pillar to do a deep dive on each of them. So today's update is on world-class talent. This presentation is being brought forward in light of the advocacy of Vice President Escobar, who is concerned with the number of vacancies and the data that we're seeing from exit interviews and resignations from educators and administrators. So welcome, team. Vice President.
I have asked for an extensive report on exit interviews, and there is no, unless I'm missing something, there is no slide dedicated to exit interviews or any information about exit interviews from the staff, from the teachers that have left. And I feel any report, presentation on this, that does not include that data, why teachers are leaving the district, would make this presentation an incomplete presentation. I feel that this board deserves as much information as we can get from exit interviews and the data that has kept from it. So that's how I feel. Please go through the presentation, but to me, that is incomplete without having an extensive report on the exit interviews that have taken place over the past year.
Thank you, Vice President Escobar. We have representatives here from the district. If you'd like to quickly introduce yourselves and dive into the presentation.
Sure. My name is Zach Scott, Deputy Superintendent for Operations. I will kick it over to Herman James, and he'll do introductions for his team as he walks us through the presentation on world-class talent.
So good evening, President Rojo, Vice President Escobar, School Superintendent, Dr. Montanez, and members of the school board. Thank you for the opportunity this evening to provide an HR world-class talent TAP update. I am Herman James. I am the Chief Talent Officer for Human Resources. I am excited to engage in conversation with you this evening about where we are currently and how our areas of growth to ensure world-class talent in PPSD. Our agenda for this evening includes an update on our HR Turnaround Action Plan World-Class Talent metrics. We're going to share with you an HR organizational chart or an overview of our department. Current classroom teacher vacancies will also be shared. Recruitment and hiring efforts, diversity and talent pipelines update, teacher support and development. I'd like to move into our aligned TAP goals as of September the 11th, 2023. I'd like to share that currently we have 93% fully staffed classrooms as of 9/11/2023. That's 168 new hires this year. Although we have not met our goal, our target goal of 96%, initiatives such as our early hiring contracts and our hiring timeline have been very successful. And with continued emphasis on recruitment efforts, we will meet or exceed our targeted goal of 96%. Also, at the beginning of the academic year 23-24, we had 746 unique external applicants, an increase from start of the school year 22-23. And that's per, we're talking about external per PPSD posted position. However, strategic work continues with marketing and social media and our newly created PVD Tech website. The median time from when a teaching position is posted until when the offer is extended has decreased to 26 days from our baseline of 31 days. I'm also excited to report that we have met and exceeded our staff attendance goal of 82% for school year 22-23. PPSD has a 93.9% staff attendance rate for the school year of 22-23. PPSD will continue to build on the successes from last year to continue our efforts to improve our staff attendance overall. PPSD has exceeded the goal of 24% of newly hired educators of color at the start of the school year. We increased our applicants by 6% from last school year. We went from 169 to a total of 256 applicants of color. We're very happy to report also that PPSD has supported 558 educators through our ESL certification reimbursement program. The school district has been able to increase the percentage of teachers holding and using ESL BDL certification up to 40%. That's an increase of 3% from last school year. Our target goal is 30%, and currently we're at 40% with that particular TAP goal. We also celebrate the increase of our substitute fill rate for the school year 22-23. Last year, our average was 78% fill rate. And as of today, our substitute fill rate is 85%. Going to move into our next slide, which pretty much gives an overview of our organization of human resources. Our human resource mission for PPSD is to recruit, hire, support, and develop a champion for every student within PPSD. This is the mission purpose of our existence as a division of human resources, to have a champion for all students in our school district. The Division of Human Resources consists of 3 major departments: recruitment and hiring, which includes all of our pipeline work; employee growth and performance, which include evaluation, induction, licensure of all of our employees; and employee services and labor relations. Our core responsibilities include sourcing and recruitment, pipeline development work, career fairs, social media outreach, hiring and onboarding, job postings, principal support, onboarding and offboarding, support and development, new teacher induction, systemic trainings for teachers and administrators, professional growth, licensure guidance. And then under our umbrella of employee services and relations, we have customer service, absence management, grievances, and workers' comp, or some of those areas that we are responsible for. So at this time, what we'd like to do is continue with our update on classroom teacher vacancies, recruitment and hiring updates, share a little bit about our diversity pipeline, and teacher support and development. I will now turn it over to our Executive Director of Recruitment and Staffing, Gina Diodoro. Thank you, Gina.
All right, good evening, Superintendent and members of the school board. So as shared in publicly available data, the teacher shortage continues to strain our education system nationally, even more so within urban districts. Here in Providence, we see its impacts across the board, but clustered most heavily in our highest need areas such as math and special education. While we've done a lot to address the need with our comprehensive recruitment and staffing strategies, we acknowledge that we still have a long way to go to fill 100% of our classroom vacancies, and in particular refine our retention strategic plan, which we'll share more about in later slides. A few key areas that I want to touch on in the above slides. As you can see in the bar chart on the upper right, our classroom vacancies have decreased slightly compared to the start of last school year. And of note, encompassed in that count is an added 21 classroom-based positions to support a critical need in pre-K, along with our students that have recently arrived to the United States. We've also added over 100 non-classroom-based positions to support accelerated learning recovery and mental health, such as social workers and interventionists. It's important to note that in every classroom where a vacancy exists, all of our students are receiving instruction from substitute teachers with support from coaches and interventionists. We worked hard to hire and place over 150 substitutes this summer and have our fall substitute hiring fair event coming up this Tuesday, September 26th, from 8 to 12 in the PE Tech Room, which my colleague will share more about in the upcoming slides. So this time I'd like to introduce Cynthia Ramirez, who's our Senior Director of Recruitment for Providence Schools.
Good evening, Superintendent and members of the school board. So I would love to just start off talking a little bit about our recruitment efforts. We know that the success of our schools rely heavily on recruitment and the dedicated professionals and educators who we know will play a pivotal role in the future of our kids. Recruiting is recruiting is not just a task that we have, but a mission to ensure that we have the right people in front of our students. And so I want to talk a little bit about the recruitment strategies that we've put in place to ensure that that's exactly what our students receive. You will see here, and Herman talked about some of the career fairs that we've been attending, both external at colleges and universities, but also hosting internal events to bring the talent here and to also meet with our hiring managers. We've also built partnerships and conversations with over 600 colleges and universities, not only in Rhode Island, but in the tri-state area. We've dived into some campaigns for marketing that we saw a 20% increase in our phone screen leads, and it converted into applicants. And we've also been able to continue to provide incentives. We've seen 70% of the people who received incentives over this past year are still with us. So it is a great return on our investment. We've increased the total number of our unique applicants as well as the total number of our applicants of color, which is a huge win. And PPSD is ahead of the national average, which is 5 to 6 candidates per position to fill. So that is also a huge win. We are at 4.4 candidates per role. We also had 256 people of color apply to our positions, and of the 256, we had about 44 who were hired. This is also aligned to that ratio, and some of the reasons why folks are not hired is because of certification or qualifications for the role. One of the growth areas that I've identified as we did a look back and we look at recruitment is that although we've seen huge wins in diversifying our workforce, it is also an opportunity for us to continue to increase so that we can match or mirror the students that we serve. So without further ado, I'll turn it back over to Gina.
Thank you, Cynthia. So research supports using early, autonomous, and intensive hiring processes to build the teacher workforce. And more specifically, our approach this past year included moving up our hiring timeline to post jobs in early March. This yielded nearly the same amount of new classroom teachers as the previous year and over 300 external PTU hires in total. We also launched, as Cynthia shared, our early contract program beginning in December to attract candidates in high-need areas before vacancies were posted. We actually yielded double the amount of candidates from the previous year, which is an exciting one for us. We've also crafted ongoing candidate eligibility lists to give schools a clear view of prospective candidates across PPSD and to support with candidate cultivation. We were also happy to see that a number of individuals in non-classroom based roles have moved back into the classroom for teaching positions next year as well. And we're also excited to have the passage of an extended learning time initiative in partnership with RIDE and our Providence Teachers Union partners. A focus for the year ahead will be in ensuring the principal voice is included at key decision points in the staffing and hiring process, along with the continuation of our early and intensive hiring timelines. I'll turn it back over to Cynthia.
And next, I'd love to talk a little bit about our diversity recruitment and pipelines here. So as I mentioned, partnering with universities and colleges is critical for us to continue to meet folks who either are coming through teaching fellowship programs or are in teacher prep programs, or maybe are not sure if teaching is for them. But I always say, I believe that once they step foot in Providence Public Schools, they meet our kids, our families, our communities, they'll never want to go anywhere else. So with that, we are getting in front of classrooms in the colleges and universities so that we can continue to access a pool of talent who are eager to start a career in Providence. As I mentioned, diversifying the workforce is also important. And so we continue to think about alternative certification programs that are helpful for us to continue to not only recruit from, but also develop some pipelines where people who might be interested in a career teaching can go down that route. Also excited to share that we have put a bid out for our Grow Your Own program. So when we think about growing our own teachers with who will be able to fill our hard to fill areas, why not do that within? So there's a bid out. We're hoping to get folks in Rhode Island and across the states to bid on this and hopefully launch soon. I am excited to share that we were approved for a teacher accreditation program within Providence Public Schools. This is the first time in history. We're really excited. We were approved for 5 years, and we're planning to launch in November, and this will grow our own teacher assistants. So again, when we think about pipelines, that's our crossing guards to TAs, our TAs to teachers, our teachers to principals, and making sure that there are opportunities for growth because again, our mission is to also invest in our very own. And then we also collaborate with the Equity Office, Dr. Anya and her team, to really think about how can we continue to support our educators of color and allies to grow within the district. And we've been hosting monthly Empower Me meetups to one, just gather some feedback, but also to allow the voices of our folks to be heard and for us to think about strategies and things that we can put in place to continue to support them on their journey here at PPSC. The retention rate for our educators of color in this past school year is 88%, which is, again, great to see. We also know we want to continue to raise that bar as high as it can get, 100%.
Okay, to our final slide on teacher support and development. And as I shared earlier, PPSD has supported 558 educators through our ESL certification reimbursement program. I think that's certainly something to celebrate. The school district has been able to increase the percentage of teachers holding and using the ESL BDL certification up to 40%, an increase from 3% from last school year. I talked a little bit about what our target goal for our TAP metric was, and we are certainly exceeding that 30%, where we're now at 40% of those teachers. In our efforts to support, develop, and also retain qualified talent, PPSD planned and executed mandatory new teacher induction series this summer for all of our new teachers to be PPSD. We also provided monthly professional development series for all new teachers and continued the new teacher ambassadors in all schools to provide mentoring support for new teachers within their first and second year of teaching. Many of these efforts will continue this year for the 23-24 school year so that we can continue to support and develop all of our teachers. Our PPSD staff attendance, as I indicated on our TAP metric, we are pretty much at 93.9% for the 22-23 school year. Many of the strategies we implemented in 22-23 will be continued throughout this school year to further increase our staff attendance for this current school year. And although we've made progress with our world-class talent TAP goals, we still have much work to do. One of the growth areas we have identified is teacher retention. Although our retention rates have been pretty steady over the last few years, we're still facing concerns and issues as many other districts are facing within the country with losing quality teachers in our high need areas such as special education, mathematics, science, etc. HR will lead the effort in establishing a retention strategic plan for the district. The plan will focus on systemic strategies to reduce employee turnover, increase employee satisfaction, build stronger work relationships, increase employee productivity, and foster employee engagement. Members of all stakeholder groups will be invited to participate in the planning and the development of this retention plan, including school board members, union affiliates, community, etc. It is our goal to certainly provide a plan that our district can certainly embrace to certainly ensure that we retain the best and qualified teachers within our district. Vice President Escobar, I know you asked about the exit interview data. Don't know how far you want to go with the extent of this, but we have some information to share with the board this evening. Since September 1st, 2022, we conducted 29 exit interviews. 25 of those were PTU teachers, and 167 exit surveys were submitted. 119 of that number were also teachers, PTU. All resignations were offered an exit interview and survey. The themes that came out of that data: climate and culture, concerns with school leadership, toxic environment in school, poor management of administration, lots of challenges within the district, not respected as a professional by administration and leadership. Another theme: personal life, circumstances, retirements, moving out of state, another career path, a position reassignment for some of those themes or concerns. The third large bucket theme was job requirements and demands, inadequate mentoring, failure to adequately staff classroom with a qualified teacher, emergency certified or in the process of becoming ESL certified, but the requirements outside of class to enroll in the program and to teach full-time was just too much. So those are your large three themes that we pulled from the data that we received since September 1st, 2022, up until this present time. As we conclude our presentation this evening, we would like to thank all of you, our school board members, for your support as we continue to do the work necessary to ensure world-class talent in Providence Public School District. But I also would like to take this opportunity to send a special thank you to the full HR department team. HR work is never easy and it is never ending. And I'd like to thank the team for what you do every day, your late nights, your sometimes weekends, to ensure that we have qualified talent within our school district. I do have some members of our HR team here this evening. If you could just stand where you are, be recognized. Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate each and every one of the members of the department for all that they do. And thank you again for this opportunity. And at this time, we will answer any questions that you may have for the team at this time.
Vice President Escobar, I see the floor to you.
Thank you for at least verbal giving a report on exit interviews. If we could get something in writing submitted to the board to react to, I think it's just a very important piece of information to fully understand the teacher vacancies out in the community. That's one of the top issues that has been brought up, at least personally to me, in terms of what is going on, and hence why I've been asking for that information. We know that the education workforce is facing challenges. I think the number one thing is the salary. Teachers are just not paid nearly enough, right? Our beginning salary, I say this constantly in multiple meetings, but first beginning salary is $44,000, right? You can't afford to live by yourself in Providence or anywhere in the state, for that matter, on that salary. I think those are the challenges, and one, thank you all for your work and thank you for your presentation, but those are the type of challenges that you are facing, right? Like, how do you recruit these teachers on this type of salary? I think it is up to the General Assembly, to the council, anybody has control of purse strings. How do we get teachers to a livable wage? I think a nice start would be $65,000 to $75,000, and I think that takes everyone in this, in this room to advocate for that, right? But I'm just bringing that up because that is a huge challenge that we're going to continuously face in our economy. Now, going back to the exit interviews again, I would love it for you to send that to the board because I believe that's important. But stating what you on the exit interviews, do you foresee the strategic plan targeting? I mean, I heard work culture, and again, it's not in front of me.
Climate and culture.
Climate and culture, like, was that one of the top percentages of why teachers were leaving? And of those teachers, are they taking other jobs in different districts within the state? Are they changing their career path? That's a question. That's a legitimate question I would have. Like, where are those teachers going? Are they just, and are those like high quality teachers, right, that we wanted to keep, and they just do not appreciate the culture that they're experiencing, either the buildings or leadership, etc.
Thank you, Vice President Escobar.
I mean, that was a question. I don't know if you.
So definitely, Vice President Escobar, we don't have that data to provide for you this evening, but we will certainly be glad to provide in writing to you, certainly that data as you have requested. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the breakdown of where those teachers are, where did they go? Did they go to another profession? Did they even go to another district within the state of Rhode Island? Did they change professions altogether? We can certainly provide that for you.
Yeah. The deeper we can break down to that, again, I think it gives us the board a clear picture of one of the top issues that we consistently have seen and also we're asked about. So we just want to make sure that we have a clear picture. And when we have that clear picture, is there anything that the city, the board, anything we can do to sort of support what we would be seeing there? Because we definitely don't want to lose good teachers, especially if they're highlighting culture, climate, et cetera, as a reason. So.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So real quick, I just want to make sure, so the 93% of our classrooms are fully staffed right now, 7% vacancy. The baseline in 18-19 was 95.5, correct? And the goal for AY 24-25, and this is part of the turnaround action plan, is 98%. So it looks like we're lagging behind our goal, and obviously we had a global pandemic, but are there new targets? Like, have we adjusted that 98% number? Is there a new number?
Not at this time, we still have the same goals.
Okay, so 24-25 would be September of next year, and the goal is 98%. My next question is, I mean, we've closed a couple of school buildings. My assumption there, and tell me if my assumption is wrong, is that the number of classrooms is also shrinking. Therefore, maybe the number of teaching positions is also shrinking. So it's concerning to me that with a shrinking number of positions to fill, we still have like that 7% vacancy. You would think we see a reverse trend.
The team can add a little bit more here, but I think one of the challenges, because we have the same question, right? You have fewer, you close schools, you should have fewer vacancies. One of the challenges is that we see the growth in positions is in areas of highest need that are the hardest to recruit for. So we've added 10 special education pre-kindergarten classrooms. We've added 11 newcomer positions that are oftentimes either CTE programming, dual certified. So part of the challenge is that while the total number of positions that that we need to fill out goes down, the number of ones that are really hard to fill has gone up pretty significantly. So that I think explains part of why we see this challenge in terms of filling some of those, all the vacancies we would like to fill.
Have there been new variables that maybe have contributed to this issue? One thing that I'm thinking about is, the amended teacher's contract that added extra school time to the day. Have we seen that have an adverse effect on teacher retention?
I don't believe it has, and we can look again at the exit interview data, but I don't think that has been named as something, a reason for people leaving. I do know, to a question that was raised earlier, one of the things we have seen are more people just leaving the profession than we had historically. So it is in part people are making some, not to say people don't go to other districts, just like we bring folks in from other districts as well. But there has been a rise in people who are leaving the teaching profession, and duly noted on salary and other items is one of the factors about how you keep people in the profession longer term.
And then my last comment is more of a general statement regarding these TAP quarterly updates, which is, the TAP plan posted on 4pbkids.com is the one that was originally released in 2019, whatever it was. So like there's published metrics here about baseline data and then goal data for like upcoming school years, and it looks like none of it has been revised. Like, I don't know, the PDF that I opened up has the same numbers from the 2019 TAP. If the pandemic has contributed to some of these, objectives and has caused them to change, has caused metrics to change, then the TAP should be updated. Because you guys are coming before us, and I'm literally looking at the numbers that are published on our website regarding, what constitutes a successful, metric, and we're either falling behind, we're not going to make it, or this needs like revision. So like the same thing happened with engaged communities. They came forward. I started spitting out some of these like literal metrics in the TAP. They were either unfamiliar, couldn't answer, or the data or the metrics are outdated and need revising. So I think that's just like a big glaring problem that the school board and the district, right, should like come together and address. Because a member of the public will be confused looking at this data.
Understood.
Any other comments, Mr. Matuk?
Thank you, President Rigel. So my compliments to the HR team. HR work is so difficult in the environment that we're in everywhere right now. And, I can imagine how much work has gone into this presentation and what you're doing. It seems like we're making a lot of progress in the areas of recruiting, hiring, onboarding, support of diverse educators, and all of that's great. But, we're going to be swimming upstream if we don't address the turnover question. And maybe we are addressing the turnover question, but there are no metrics in this report that show what our turnover rate is and how that compares to the state and the country, how it compares to 2021, 2020, and years in the past. And so, without those metrics, you guys are leaving a lot of room for interpretation around what's going on with turnover. There's a lot of, and if they're bad, we should know, because we need to know if what we're doing is making it better over time. So that's really, I think, related to Vice President Escobar's line of questioning around exit interviews is, what is our turnover rate and what do we need to do to reverse it so that you guys can fully reap the benefits of all of the great recruiting and hiring, onboarding stuff that you're doing, so that we can solve these problems.
Thank you, Mr. Matuk. Any other comments? Dr. Robertson-Tanner?
Yeah, I just have a request. When you start your strategic planning, one population that I would love for you to consider is international professionals. So it's people who come to Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, right? We have the Welcome Back Center. We used to have Welcome in Rhode Island, but it's just people who are teachers in their country and may need like minimal stuff to be able to be certified in Rhode Island, but sometimes they don't even know that they could. And so, not that there's anything wrong with like working at Walmart or McDonald's or anything, but we have them working there, and it's called brain waste. There's a whole big national article about how a lot of our professionals are being underutilized. And so I would encourage you to consider, my mom's an educator. She has a daycare and she has 20 friends who are educators who have daycares, right? Because that's the only avenue for them. And so I would really consider serving the state and seeing how many international teachers you have that could potentially be that pipeline to increase your workforce. Thank you, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Robertson-Tanner. Mr. Stevens?
Yes, really quick, got a couple questions. I think you might have answered it, Mr. Scott. On slide 6, it shows a decrease from 112 to 107 vacancies. We closed 3 schools, which means you have fewer total classrooms. Can you share the total number of classrooms for each year so we can sort of have accurate data on that?
Yeah, we have that information.
Okay, and then also, how many total students are left without a certified or qualified teacher? Do we have the data on that or no? Or you want to get it to me? Okay, and then also for middle and high school students, this may be sort of multiple periods each day. Again, we need like that complete data, so hopefully we can get that. How many teacher resignations were there compared to last year? This year to last year? Anyone know?
Yes, so for SY 21-22, we had 143 classroom teacher resignations, and for SY 22-23, we had 169 classroom teacher resignations.
Got it, thank you. Last question, slide 8 and I believe 9 shows a decrease in both new classroom teacher hires and new BIPOC hires. In fact, new BIPOC hires are lowest in sort of like the last 4 years. Can we explain that, anybody? Is there like a trend on the reason why that's the case, or is there something we're doing to improve and increase that number?
Yeah, I mean, looking at 1920, like we've jumped since then. And so I think it's one of the pieces of what we're trying to address when we're thinking about where we're recruiting. We have some like strategies to expand our reach even more through social media, handshake, HBCUs. So it's part of our strategy because we want to continue to increase that number, but there isn't anything specific that we have tangible to say this is the reason why.
Yeah, I would just look at the macro trend, which is a pretty significant increase after 1920, and within that, it's been about a 1 or 2% fluctuation. So obviously, we want to keep on moving it higher and higher, but we have a pretty demonstrable increase since the 1920 school year.
Absolutely. And really quick, last question, well, not question, but just a comment. Just want to encourage you to get the information of the exit interviews to us. We know we hear all the time teachers are upset about X, Y, and Z. Mostly is sort of morale and different staffing and things like that. And I understand that as well. But there's sort of those complaints in every company. So making sure we get that information so we can address it. So we're asking for. So hopefully we get that, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Ms. Chiara, can you follow up with the HR team to ensure that we get all the information that's been requested here tonight? We're gonna go with Chairman at the beginning and then Vice President Escobar. Chairman?
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to thank the team for putting this together. One of the comments that the chairperson mentioned is way forward to encourage to tackle the problem of retention. I know in the finance committee, we spend a lot of money, we approve contracts that encourages, that promotes leadership and spend a lot of money. And you did mention in this report how we invest in ESL certifications. And the purpose of those investments is to keep the teachers and not let them get out of the district, because it wouldn't make any sense if after spending so much money on them, the next year go buy Providence. So, and you mentioned that you want to address that issue and you want the collaboration of class of people, including the school board. I am, really interested in that involvement. I don't want us to mention that you're going to involve the school board and the community members, and all of a sudden, the next time we get a turnaround report, we don't see anything, we get a report. So please, I'm just appealing that you involve the school board. The form, the shape, how you're going to do it is up to you. But I think if you bring us along, we might have one or two things, we're also passionate about finding solutions. So please do involve us. That's what I'm asking. So thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Vice President Escobar.
Yeah, I wanted to hear more about the TA accreditation programs, and also, is there any barriers within our process in the state that we can either amend through legislative action or policy on that? Because I've heard that maybe there's some difficulty in like getting TA to actually, TA to BA, right? I think that's what Equity Institute. But is there any, legal barriers, policy barriers that, prevent some of that work from happening?
No barriers that I can share at this time. So any of the TAs who are in a TA to BA type of program who want to become teachers, the RIDE is reviewing their transcripts to see if they have X amount of credits in a specific content area, and that's how they determine emergency certification or approval for certification. I would say, so our teacher assistant accreditation program is so that we can continue to fill the vacancies that we have in our teacher assistants positions in our schools. And then the aim is to start filling our hard to fill areas. So for example, a special education classroom, having a TA there, we have more vacancies. And so this program, at least the first cohort, is going to focus on folks who have an interest in those hard to fill areas. So teacher assistants, we will house the program in-house and then connect them directly to schools to fill those vacancies, so that each cohort, again, we can run as many as we desire after 2 weeks to start filling some of those vacancies. And we're going to collaborate with the community and the principals to identify families, volunteers, crossing guards, people who have an interest in growing and staying a part of PPSC. So that's a TA accreditation program, and they will be able to take the exam and get their accreditation as soon as they finish the program.
And a follow-up question, other than, I'd imagine like salaries being a big issue at CHA, yeah. What else, sort of prevents you all from doing even better work on recruitment for our education workforce. It's getting late at night, so I can feel like I'm not speaking as as clearly. But you know, what I'm saying? Like, is there stuff that's outside of your control that maybe the state could do better?
Yeah.
Legislative leaders should know about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So going back to a question that was asked, so we're also like working with RIDE. They have 5 sponsored approved programs for J1 visas. So we want to continue to recruit folks from different places, which is awesome. We just hired our first person from a J1 visa program. We've been working with the Embassy of Spain, and that's a huge win. Again, there's opportunity to continue to grow that. But when I think about that opportunity and also recruiting folks from Maryland or across the country, right? Handshake reaches everyone. The number one reason that it's difficult to come here is housing. So something that I've raised with the Chamber of Commerce and other groups that I'm a part of, is there a way that we can support this effort a little more than what we can do right now with our reach? So that I would say that is maybe the next number one. Second reason after the salary, it's the housing here in Providence. It's extremely high.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. That's definitely understandable, especially when you add into the salary that we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any final comments?
Me, this possible.
Mr. Mahingalo?
Only to say that thank you. I'm from Spain.
Welcome.
I belong to Providence School, and I'm so proud to stay here. To come here.
That's awesome.
So, thank you.
Yeah, just a quick question. Honorable member asked a question that I was concerned about, but can you tell me about the partnership with JYU, WIC, and other organization that you mentioned on slide 9?
So we work with all of the colleges, universities in the state of Rhode Island for student teaching placement. So that is one of the partnerships that we have with every college. And we're expanding upon that program. We've been working together for many, many months to think about how to strengthen those opportunities. So that's one of the ways in which we partner. And then other programs that we have, for example, Rhode Island Foundation, Rhode Island College just got a grant to serve PPSD and other districts to think about growing our CTE teachers in different ways. So there's several one-off partnership programs that we have with some of the colleges and universities as well. And Johnson and Wales, as we all know, offered financial support for any PPSD member who wants to continue their education or to become certified teachers or educators or even leaders. Thanks to our superintendent, they also gave us some discounted rates if anybody wants to do their doctoral program. So those are some of the ways in which we're partnering. Sorry, 15% off, did I say that? 15, something like that. But those are some of the ways in which we're partnering with all of our colleges and universities.
Is everyone good? Mr. Scott?
Just one more comment, and it's because I want to be responsive to what Mr. Escobar had said. We know it had been raised a number of times at the board about the TA salary, and so that was actually one of the priorities in our last negotiations with 1033. And Solicitor Ruggiero can share one of the kind of common grounds we found was raising that base salary pretty significantly, so that it was, I'm sure there's more we can do, but this was a way to make sure that starting salary was able to be more attractive to bring people in. So more way to go, but I wanted to share that based on some of the good pushes and feedback from the board, that was something when we negotiated this last contract this past year was one of our priorities, and frankly a common priority among the sides.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. And then Superintendent Martinez?
You asked about some of the barriers that TAs have in order to obtain a teaching degree. And one of the barriers that some of the TAs have expressed is that they mandatory by their union have to be on the bus as bus monitors, and that causes problems with them trying to get to class so they can actually get the certification.
Thank you, Superintendent. And then finally for me, before we move on to executive session, so obviously I mentioned the Zaria bill here a lot, and It's basically what's guiding our work or what mandates the things that the school board has to do to be compliant with state law. And one of the things charged to the school board is being able to advise on senior level hires. And Superintendent, I know that when we last discussed this in a public forum, I believe it was like May or June, I forget, we had kind of amicably had like a gentleman's agreement that chief level hires and up would be brought before the school board for advising, not advising consent, but advising. So what I had envisioned was an introductory kind of a Q&A dialogue so we can get to know the folks who are running the district. And I think we're due for another one of those. So I'd like to talk offline to ensure that continues to happen and ensure that the school boards remain compliant with that section of the Zaria bill. That's it for me. If there's no more further comment from the school board on this item, we'll move on to executive session. Thank you, everyone. Okay, can I get a vote to enter executive, or can I get a motion? I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Carolina Roberts Santana. George Matuk. Moyedini Biami. Earl Rojo. Travis Escobar. 19 Mohi Gabo. Tyro Stevens.
We have entered executive session. Thank you, members of the public. Thank you, everyone who came tonight. We appreciate your attendance and encourage you all to return. Thank you.